I'm an alcoholic who, by the grace of God, has been sober for 16 years, and I wasn't brought up in a Christian household, and so I used to bury myself in work and try to achieve financial success and other achievements to draw attention to myself and say, look at me, look how great I am. I had a lovely, caring wife that I didn't realize. I realized or recognized it.
We really didn't have a social life, and what would happen is that we'd go out for dinner with a couple, and George would drink too much and he would embarrass us, and they would never want to see us again. It got to a point where if people invited us out, I would always decline. I wouldn't even want to go through that. And so eventually we had really no friends.
My wife was raised in a Christian household, and she drifted from the church once we were married, but when our marriage was in trouble because of my drinking, she returned to the church. And she used to go to church on Sundays. I'd go golfing. But I did go to special occasions and did meet with her people. And she was always there, bought me a Bible. It sat unread in my next drawer for 2 years.
When we moved to the North Shore, I'd been really sensing that I needed to get back to going to church, and which I did. And I used to read my Bible at night, every night, and every night I would pray for George. He wouldn't want to come to church with me, but I just felt that I had to go for myself. And one day I just had a feeling that George really would become a Christian, and I just knew that. And I would pray for that. And I bought a Bible for him, and I gave it to him, and he really didn't want it. He didn't think he'd ever want it or read it. But I said, you can keep this for when you're ready. There were some things that I found out about him that I hadn't known before, and it was very difficult for me to forgive him for that. And I really didn't know if our marriage could continue at that point. I went away for a weekend by myself and just to pray and seek God's guidance. And I really felt after a couple of days the Lord really telling me that we should stay together. And I didn't really tell George about that, but when I came home, I just felt that after that the Lord has really blessed our marriage.
In November 1993, Helen asked me if I would go to the marriage conference put on by Campus Crusade, and I really didn't want to go, but I know that over the years I've been taking so much from the marriage that it was time to give back. And so we went up to Whistler for the Weekend to Remember marriage conference. And on the first day, they did an altar call. And I don't know what I said, but I do know that I asked, the Holy Spirit spoke to me, and I asked Christ to come into my life at the marriage conference. And when we got back to Vancouver, I went to see Helen's pastor, and I asked him to baptize me. And I was baptized in January 1994. Once the fog of the drinking was raised, and I had Christ in my life, I just realized that Helen was a wonderful, supporting, loving woman. She didn't change. She's always been there for me. She's always been so supportive of me. And since I've accepted Christ, which is intimately tied to my sobriety, I've appreciated for just the wonderful woman that she is.
The big difference for us has been that we've been able to communicate on a spiritual level. Before, he had no interest in that kind of thing. And it's a whole different level of relationship when we can share our faith and our belief, praying together, going to home groups together, going to church together?
We have the Trinity, and then I have my Trinity. And my Trinity, they're inseparable, is that I'm so grateful that Christ is in my life. I'm extremely grateful that I'm sober. I've been sober for 16 years. I know that was a gift from God. I could not have done it myself. And I am so blessed to have Helen in my life. And you might say, well, why do I do it in that order? It's because my sobriety comes from God, and without my sobriety, there would be no Helen. And as I just consider myself to be so blessed to live in a wonderful part of the world, to need nothing, and to be part of such a great church as Coastal.